And I am excited because I'm here today with Kim Vopni. She's been part of the uBlossom team for over 5 years, and you may recognize her from our retreats out at Loon Lake as well as on Vancouver Island. And yeah, we're just connecting today to talk about what's going on in her world, the world of pelvic floor and wellness. And yeah, just remind us again what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Nice to see you. Yeah, so pelvic health, even in the pandemic, is something we still need to pay attention to. So regardless of what is happening in the world or in our lives, it is something that we should be prioritizing. And it's often a thing that can kind of get pushed down to the wayside. But I got into this basically because I really wanted to avoid the challenges that I saw my mom having. And as you know, after she had babies and as she was approaching menopause. And so it came from a point of being proactive on my part and wanting other people to have access to that information so they weren't left saying, why didn't anybody tell me about this? But then also recognizing that women may not have heard about it and may be experiencing some challenges. So what can they do? Because it's never too late to make a change. And so really, I have programs, I have online coaching that I do. I talk at a lot of different functions like yours, which I love, and basically put me in front of an audience of women and I will talk about pelvic health all day long because I love it. It's a passion of mine and I want more people to have the knowledge so they can embrace it and they can start incorporating it into their own life as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's been very beneficial to the whole uBlossom community, and we love hearing all about it. And it's kind of a taboo subject, but it can be really light and funny, and that's what I really love about the way that you can explain it and support the women. So, what can we do right now to stay connected to our core?
Yeah, good question. So usually one of the big things that I recommend that women do is see a pelvic floor physiotherapist annually. So just like we go see the dentist, even if we don't have any toothache, we go proactively and without any symptoms, and they screen and they check our mouth and they check the alignment of our jaw and they are screening for problems. And I recommend that women do the same thing with their pelvic floor. Now, in this current situation that we're in right now, we don't have access to people like pelvic health. They can do telehealth like this, but you can't necessarily go and have the benefits of an internal and kind of full body examination and assessment. So what we can be doing in the meantime is just even learning how to connect with our pelvic floor. So there's a saying that you have to connect before you can correct. And I teach people in a way of kind of connecting the breath to the pelvic floor. And there's a video on my YouTube channel called The Core Breath. So if you just go to YouTube and put in Core Breath, Kim Vopni, you'll find it. And it kind of walks you through that connection. So if there's one thing that you're doing, just spend a minute, maybe two if you can, going through the core breath. And that will incorporate, first of all, some breath work, which can be very calming because right now there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, and we just need to kind of sit still and breathe. So that's one benefit to it. And the other is, it will get you doing some voluntary pelvic floor contraction and relaxation. So taking the muscle through its range of motion, which we need. We need varied movement in our body, and movement is also something that's helpful for our mind. But if there's one thing that you can do that, because it can be calming, but also connecting. And then the more you do that, that's really your Kegel practice. So spending a minute or two each day is really all that it takes to get started. And then after that, you can get a bit more fancy with, in my programs, I start adding it into movement. So that's kind of like the next tier up. But all you do right now is just connect with your breath and sit and take your pelvic floor through its range of motion.
Great. That sounds great. Yeah, it's important not to forget those things that we've already learned or those things that we've heard about. So tell us about, do you have any challenges or anything going on right now that the women can look at or delve into when they go to your website?
Yeah. So in kind of in lieu of the fact that we don't have access to our regular therapists, especially if we have been going or wanting to go, I took my full program. So it's called Kegel Mojo, and I put a 7-day free option. So people can go. It's actually only on for another couple of days until the end of April. But if you go now, you have full 7 days to go through the content. So I definitely recommend that you do that. It's a really, it's very content rich. It gives you exercises. It gives you a lot of learning. So I recommend that you take advantage of that. And then also every month I do a 28-day challenge that is an app-based program, and it's exercise focused. And it starts the first Tuesday of every month. The next one starts Tuesday, May 5th. And I recommend that if people are kind of unsure about, what does a vagina coach do and what kind of exercises are they? Really, they're exercises that you've seen, lunges and squats. There's lots of things you've seen before. It's just a way of incorporating that connection I was talking about, that core breath, and adding the Kegels into movement that makes it a bit more focused on the core and on the pelvic floor. And so that's a really great option for people to kind of come in and learn a little bit about what it is that I do. And the cool thing about that is usually around the 2-week mark, so around day 14, people are coming in going, oh my gosh, I sneezed today 3 times and I didn't leak. And they have these wins that they start to celebrate. It doesn't take long for change to happen. And the other thing that I'll say right now, in kind of many of us we're at home a lot more than we regularly are. And a piece of, addressing some of the problems that we can have can be really helped with a bladder diary. So in the Kegel Mojo program, there's also a bladder diary download. And I recommend that people go in there and just I usually recommend 3 days where they record when they go to the bathroom, they record what volume. So get a measuring cup that never ends up back in your kitchen, and you can measure how much pee is coming out. How long was your stream? Was it 5 seconds? Was it 10 seconds? What sort of foods were you eating or drinking? And you start to notice, every time I have a cup of coffee, I have to go pee a lot more. And it becomes a bit more urgent. I don't feel like I can control it as well. So that caffeine is a bladder irritant. So you start to recognize things that could be contributing to some of the symptoms that you might be having. And then it gives you information about how you could change some of those things if you want in terms of addressing it. And when you're doing the bladder diary and also bladder retraining, being at home is a really good time to do that. So because we have that available to us right now, it's something else you could explore.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I have wanted to do those challenges for a couple of years now, and I know it's so beneficial, but it is easy to start now because we are at home. So I think it's a perfect time to start the 28-day challenge.
Yeah.
And I'll be putting up all the information on the uBlossom website and on the Facebook page. It'll be easy for everybody to find. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well and staying safe. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you in a few weeks. And
Yeah, likewise. I really appreciate you having me. And hopefully you're staying safe and healthy as well, which I know you are. And we will all get through this, and we'll see you at hopefully as soon as possible at another retreat.
Yeah. Next retreat to come or online. So thank you everyone for joining me today. And Kim, again, stay safe, and please email me if you have any questions. Stay connected to the community. We have a lot of really fun stuff coming down the line for you so that we can support you. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.